Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. Thank you for being here. If you are brand new to the channel, look over there and hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Guys, we have a lot of great content coming up with the 24 Ram. We're going to do my first review of the 2024 Ram. I didn't want to review it right away. I did bring out the car enthusiast to take it for a spin, and then I will bring back the professional truck driver. And yes, this is a real professional truck driver, not like you might see on those other channels. This guy's legit. He's been around just like me, 4 million miles of safe truck driving, but we're going to bring somebody outside of the box who is a huge Ford fan who drives Power Strokes all day. And so we are going to bring that guy out here in just a few weeks. But I brought the car enthusiast out a while back. He drives luxury cars, had luxury trucks, to take a spin and see if the 2024 Ram is worth a darn. Now, as you guys know, we're going to go over the equipment list that's on the truck. This is a 24 3500 Laramie Sport Crew Cab 4x. It does have the 6.7 standard output with the 68 RFE in it. 373 axle ratio, that is just a regular limited slip type rear end. It does have the upscale 9-speaker Alpine with the subwoofer, dual power seats, which is standard for a Laramie. Typically you're going to get the 8.4 Uconnect. This one does have the 12, and we will talk about that a little bit in this video, and then I will break it down as we go into some other videos, because some people say they want more detailed stuff. And going into the Uconnect 5 12-inch is a beast. It is the diamond black crystal pearl coat, which is basically like a metallic black. I've had this color on 4 other Rams, and I've also had this on a Jeep a long time ago. Black leather trim seats. I have the towing technology group, which is a $1,700 option. It has a center stop lamp mount, cargo view camera, surround view camera system, and trailer reverse guidance. Adding in the sport package, which gives you the body color, grille surround, and bumpers, and the sport performance hood, which I'll show you in a second. Fifth wheel gooseneck tow prep, which, guys, if you're ordering a truck or buying a truck and you intend on doing fifth wheeling, get that set up. In the Ram and the Ford, you can add it later, but unless you have the tools, the ability, the know-how, and the time to lift a pickup box off and get that in there, it's worth $545, because usually the pieces alone are $545, so get that. Laramie Level 1 group is a $3,200 option, which means your Laramie comes standard with some things, but then you can go to the Laramie Equipment Group 1. It gives you power, memory pedals and mirrors and all that jazz. Park Sense front and rear park assist system, which that's the sonar. Yes, it's sonar. Auto dimming exterior mirrors, power heat and full telescoping mirrors, auto dimming exterior passenger mirrors, fog lamps, which are LEDs. All the actual lamps are LEDs on this. Automatic adjust reverse exterior mirrors, which I don't use that feature. The memory again across the radio, driver seat, and mirrors. Rain sensitive windshield wipers, kind of like that, but sometimes it can be a pain in the ass. Rear window defroster, remote tailgate release. Ventilated front seats, which do make the seats a little firmer, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We got the Uconnect 5 12-inch touchscreen display, blind spot with tag, trailer and cross path detection, which we'll talk about that. Second row in-floor storage bins, I'll show you what that means if you don't know. We got the LED reflector headlamps, front and rear Mopar covering mats, which are a $150 option. And guys, they're better than the WeatherTech, and they're better than the Husky Liners. Husky Liners would be my choice outside of the OEM mat. Now the Ford mats on the driver's side, I don't feel like they cover enough of the firewall where you put your feet. Sometimes your boots slip up, but they still are good mats. But I would say that get these if you can. We have the 6.7 i6 Cummins turbo diesel engine and a 220 amp alternator engine block heater, which is $95, and the 20-inch 8x polished aluminum wheels. So coming down to the Cummins, we did talk about this. This will not be a dogfight between gas and diesel. Again, my channel was pretty much just directed towards doing gassers. However, getting my hands on a 24, at least put it in context, is where Ram is at in 2024, what's changed, what hasn't. And the Hemi is an interesting option in regards to Rams. You really need to get a 3500 Ram with the Hemi to get the right payload, the right trailering, the right axle ratios. In the 2500, it just couldn't find one that kind of met that. Now, the MSRP on this guy standing behind me was $89,660. Now, that being said, guys, I didn't pay that. I got 18 grand off. And it actually put this diesel truck in the exact same price point, about $800 more than a Hemi. then that's why I said in the other video, guys, you're going to have to make a corporate decision as to if you want to mess with all of the extra emissions, crap, def, extra diesel cost, extra, diesel maintenance costs. And I have people all the time say, well, the maintenance isn't that bad. It is more, and you do have to worry about all the regen stuff, or you will have issues eventually with the diesel stuff. Now, if you play by the rules, I think you're fine when it comes to the emission stuff. But when a truck says it needs a regen and you're on your way home on Friday night and you've had it for the day and you need to regen the truck, you're going to have to go for that cruise. That's all there is to it. You shut it down with all that heat built up in there and stuff, you're going to regret it eventually. Okay, guys? So again, not a pissing match on diesel and gas. That's what it is. I still love gas. Again, under 12, gas all the way, period. Unless you're getting a diesel for the exact same cost, then you make that corporate decision. Yeah, resale will be better later for sure, especially if you're buying it for the same price as a gasser, then the diesel is a no-brainer on getting more value for it back. That being said, that will be a decision you have to make. In between the 12 and 16K range, we all know that Kong smashed it, crushed the Godzilla, and actually, as far as I'm concerned, it's rated at higher in a 3/4 ton realm than even the Ram. So I mean, at the end of the day, Kong, the 6.6 L8T from GM, which will be in the Sierra and the Silverado HD trucks, is the winner of the 2024 gas as far as I'm concerned. I don't really care what the new Godzilla is, because the new Godzilla had even more power and more everything than the L8T that when I put them against it in the channel. So the 22 Godzilla had more juice than the L8T, and the L8T still crushed it. So as far as I'm concerned, that's where that's at. Now, we brought this truck to the channel because we're talking 2024. So what's changed on Ram? Well, you're probably thinking this big, sexy sport hood is new. It's not new. It came out in 23. You can get it on some models. Now it's more, I guess they're pushing it more because it's more, I guess, big in your face, kind of like the Chevy was. They promised us new grill stuff. No, not really. There's really nothing different on the exterior of the 23 than the 24, and if it would, it'd have to be some specific thing to model. Now, we do know that in 23 they came out with this new mirror, and this new mirror is fantastic, guys. It telescopes. If you get this mirror power, then you get all of the features that come on it regarding extending and everything like that. Side profile of this truck is the same as it has been for a very long time. Again, the hood and this fascia kind of changed in 2020, but at the end of the day, it is still in essence the same. So these wheels are the same as they were before. The badging is the same as it was before. At the end of the truck, this truck is still a good looking truck, again, but can it compete in 2024? Because we saw in 24 you can get a custom with the old interior, but you can get the new interior in the HD trucks. And I think really before Chevy came to the 24 model, you're offering that new interior, it was kind of like everybody was falling behind Ford, because Ford had the big 12-inch screen in there. Even though they have the new interior from the F-150s, they had that screen in years earlier than that. So really for 23, they kind of fubbed up a little bit because they put all this electronic dash gauge thing in it, and it really, one, it had a warranty or a recall on it for safety for quite a while, stopping most of those sales, recalling a bunch of other ones. And then they had an axle issue, which they basically copied GM on the bed steps, but they tried to update some things and really came out with just some manufacturing issues, and it just kind of didn't play out well, because the only way to get standard gauges in a new Ford is to go with like an XLT regular trim, not premium, or an XL, which is a work truck with an STX package, which is a very nice work truck, don't get me wrong. But so really I felt like everybody was kind of staying, falling behind Ford. But getting into the new Chevy, the Chevy's new interior crushes a lot of the areas where Chevy was falling behind, and it definitely caught up. In 2024, Ram really didn't change much of anything, because in 23 they redid the mirrors and they redid the steering wheel. Now these mirrors are fantastic. I thought before that Chevy's mirrors were the best, And a lot of people say they hate the way that these mirrors actually mount on the Chevy, and I'll agree, it takes a little bit of taste before you start enjoying the meal on that one, because the mirrors are fantastic on the Chevy. Now, what Ram has done is they brought this in here. They've changed it to where we no longer flip up the kangaroo ears or caribou ears or antlers, whatever the hell you want to call those things. But one thing that they are ahead of the game on is this is a power convex heated. This is a power mirror also. They did add these backup type campground lights, which are phenomenally bright. And then when we come around to the front of it here, guys, we have 4 LEDs for that. Now, Ford has perimeter lighting, Chevy has perimeter lighting, but if you get this mirror without the chrome, this is a Laramie thing. If you get that, then you get all the swag in that mirrors. Not necessarily with Chevy do you get the rear spotter lamps. So just keep in mind how you order your truck from GM or whatever, you want those, because I had those on Kong and that was a custom trim, but you got it as part of a package. All right. So now, Sport Appearance hood, not new again for this year. So let's pop it open and see what we got here, guys. Yeah, this is something I do on all my trucks. I kind of highlight the stuff. But here we have the tried and true 6.7 Cummins turbo diesel. That is a 408 cubic inch engine. It does have 370 horsepower because it's not the HO, and does have 850 pounds of torque. Now, going through the turbo, it's a Holset turbo, which is a fantastic manufacturer of turbos, and very little issues with this engine, guys. This is my first Cummins diesel. Traditionally, I don't put any type of intake or anything on there, but we may do one on this channel just so we can show some stuff. We'll do the normal things that we normally do, which is accessorize the truck, and I'll have tons of videos out for that. But as you can see up here, the hood is not functional. It is just a good looking hood. That's it. Again, some people probably hate it, and that's okay. To each their own. Now again, I've had tons of Cumminses, so when it comes to oil changes, we have lots more oil going in that bad boy than we had in the LAT and the Godzilla. We have our standard crapola, the EGR and everything in there, and we have this massive cooling fan. Again, I've never had any issues with any of my Rams engine wise ever, and that's going all the way back to the 12 valve. So the only issue I've ever had was with an ASIN, which is the HO transmission of choice, and it locked up and left me on the road one time, and I didn't have that truck much longer. They couldn't figure it out. They replaced the transmission, and I just didn't trust it. But to be honest with you, I've always had great luck with the 68 RFE. Now, a lot of people are going to say the 68 RFE is a garbage transmission. Well, to be honest with you, the old 4-speed that was back in the 90s behind the Cummins is still trucking down the road. Tons of these guys, and they have 1 million miles on them. Really where it comes in, guys, is if you're going to modify any of your engines, gas or diesel, it's irrelevant. It's when stuff starts to go south, okay? Because unless you're going to bolster up the transmission just automatically, if you're going to put all this extra horsepower through it, and you're not going to drop the transmission, yes, you are probably going to have issues with it, whether it's an Allison, whether it's the torque shift, whether it's the ASIN, blah, 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 so on and so forth. You really got to bolster it. Now, these engineers, when they build these vehicles, they really do sit back and try and figure out the best way to get fuel efficiency, power, stopping power, and all this stuff going down the road. They don't sit there and think, wouldn't it be great if we build a total flop of crap? They don't think of that. Honestly, they don't. So really, I don't think anybody makes a junk car anymore. But what people do is they put a slight, I like how people say it. I never modified it. However, I did put a slight tune. Right there, you modified it. I don't care what the heck you want to call it, but that's what it is. So at the end of the day, guys, this is going to stay bone stock. We're not chipping it. We're not doing anything like that. But again, can the 24 Ram stand up to the other vehicles? Let's get inside and let's talk about it. All right, guys, we are in the back of the crew cab of this truck. Now, this is a long-winded video, guys, but I have to explain it, because if you're going to be looking at a truck and Ram's not in your realm, it should be, because if you're not brand loyal, this truck has a lot of great things to offer besides the great Cummins diesel and, frankly, the Hemi that's been around for years. Is tried and true. It does have, as far as I'm concerned, it has exhaust gasket issues. That's why you hear them ticking, tack, 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 tack when you go down the road. But this interior, this truck is spectacular, and Ram has basically stayed right where they were back in 15, 16. We go back a little bit further, pretty much the same. All right, so they do excellent when it comes to door storage, guys. Excellent. These switches, again, there are things that if you've had older Chrysler vehicles, this is from 2013, 2010, this switch. Tried and true, I guess. Why mess with it, right? The Laramie, you do get like this Alcantara filling like cloth. I don't think it's true Alcantara, but that's what it feels like. A little bit of faux like stuff, which I'm glad it's not wood. It's good looking here. Same door that I remember back in my older Rams. No matter if I got a tradesman or not, that's the way it is. We do have some ambient lighting in the doors in the Laramie trim, which is nice. So we have these seats right here. In the Laramie, you get a flip-up light here, which is nice. Again, ambient light at night. But one thing I banged on the Chevy for is the Chevy in my custom trim. The lights were LED inside, but when I came out of the gym in the morning at 4 o'clock, it's still dark and go to get in. It was almost pitch black. My eyes had to actually go way down and adjust because it felt like it was so dark in there with the dark interior. All right, we do have some storage here underneath the seat. Now, if you get the up trim ones with the upgraded stereo system, that side's going to have a subwoofer, guys. So you're not going to have this for storage per se. There we go, I'm on this side. So now we have this side of the subwoofer. And some of you guys might say, well, I wouldn't want that. I'd rather have the storage. Well, don't give up a great stereo and go allowing a lower trim to have a little bit of storage, because I'm going to show you something here. So underneath the seat, there is tons of room. I can fit almost all the way back to my bicep, where you can put stuff, and as long as you only go about 3 or 4 inches high, like a fishing pole and stuff, you can stick it back there and not interfere with the seat coming down and functioning. Okay, guys? So don't necessarily give up on that. Now, these do flip up. Ram's been notorious for this fold flat area. So it has supported me mostly on this side. Laying in my crew cabs before, I put out a sleeping bag. It is not 6'2" wide, but it does give you that. So you do have the ability, and you do have a 90-degree door opening, so you can come in here and slide that stuff in and carry it if need be. Use one or both sides. That side has the exact same flip down, so it is good there. So now, if we fold that back, guys, you might be thinking, well, it still doesn't have a ton of storage. Well, actually, it does have a ton of storage. So when the kiddos were little, we loved this little in-floor storage. And like I said, when we talked about the window sticker, we would go over this. So underneath here is a ton of storage. Now, when the kids were little, we would put juice boxes and whatever else in there and put ice in there, and I'll show you why. All right, so once inside here, these guys, these will hold several chains, they'll hold whatever, and it has this removable liner, guys. Now, you do need to use this liner. You can't take this out and use it as something else and drop the chains in the bottom. The bottom would then probably bust out because it's not meant to hold that much. But this, spread out over ways, you can fill with ice, put your juice packs in there and everything like that. Now, if you're going to get these really nice floor mats, it's a pain to get to these. So now that the kids are older, we don't necessarily use these as coolers, but what you can now use them for are your window scraper, chains, ropes. I use my first aid kit, gloves, and stuff like that I normally have underneath the seat. All right, so, you know, when you sit back and think about it, that's actually plenty of storage back here, guys. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the seat down here. So one thing I also griped about on the Chevy was the custom trim. If you go up trim, you do get more cup holders. But this, if you get the lower bighorn, you're still getting cup holders on the floor and cup holders right here. So you at least get 4, period, whatever trim. If you go custom trim, you're only getting basically maybe kind of what you would consider one in the door, and then you'd have to call it good. But as far as you step into the up trim, you get 2 here, 2 there, and 2 there, and that's going to be Laramie and up. Okay, guys, and bighorn, you're going to get, if you get the console, you'll get the 2 up there, you get the 2 here, and if you get the flip down seat, you're going to get 3 up front, a little storage on the bottom, you're going to get the 2 back here, right here, and again 2 in there. The doors, you can quasi put a water bottle in there. Now, one thing I've always banged Ram on, guys, is this is not a true crew cab, meaning there's a huge hump right here, which this seat is way more comfortable than that in say a Chevy or Ford when it's up front. For the back seat though in a Chevy, this has the hole cut across here, and it's plenty comfortable for an adult to sit in because there's no hump here. This hump here again comes up about 4 inches for the drivetrain cowl type thing, and that's just kind of the way it is. Here I am at 6'2", plenty of legroom in behind either one of these seats, guys. However, we hop over here, and because it's just a little bit more unnatural for my legs to sit up, and my kid likes to sit, but he's 10, but it's plenty squishy, so my butt goes down in there, and then my legs come way up, and then the armrest thing is in my back. It's not a comfortable place for an adult, period. So really, this is a kiddo back seat, or you can put a kiddo here and 2 adults on that, and the adults will be plenty happy, and then the kid will probably be happy because they got a young butt. Tons of charge ports, and we do have the little 110 outlet back here, which again is great. Ford gives some outlets, no matter if you get the console or not. The Chevy Custom does have them, but some of them got deleted in early 24, so that is what it is. And a really great HVAC system, guys. Now this hole right here is big enough to hold a tablet. That's really nice. Again, fit and finish from here is really, really excellent. LED lighting in here, up trim stereo speakers right there. All right, guys, long again, because we're breaking this down like we did the other trucks. I'm telling you, for being basically the same trucks it was last year, this still, as far as I'm concerned, is a better interior than Ford's. And compared to the Chevys, I haven't got my hands on one, but look for look, the Chevy I would say is equal to this one in the up trim. But this right here spanks a lariat, and we'll talk about that why. Okay, you guys will want to know right here. So we go here, and my payload is 3968. Okay, guys, we hop over here again. We have the same stuff when it comes to your doors. We have a little bit of hard material here. Everything else is soft, basically from the touchable area. We have all of our lights and stuff on a cool little 4-way pad here, so where your fingers can get it. I like it a little bit better than being on the dash, because the Ford stuff's on the dash right here, and some of the Chevy stuff is on the dash, some of it's on the doors. So let's climb in. All right, so once in the Ram, we have a new steering wheel that came out in 2023. So this is going to be an upgrade over 22 and earlier. I like these pads right here when it comes to just the overability of movement. The other one used to be like 4 different buttons, a little bit of a pain in the butt. But again, this is just areas where they kind of got better. We have our gear limiter, and I'll show you that here in a second because I've banged on both Chevy and Ram for something here, and just that we'll talk about. You have all your cruise control stuff, a good fit and finish. I got big hands, big enough to fit in this little crook right here. So the reason why this competes with the Chevys is because on initial view and sitting in the Chevys have a wonderful new interior, and it's not to bang on the custom interior, guys. That interior was very good. It was rattle free, it was squeak free, it was trouble free. All right, but that's not what most people are going to get. They're probably going to get an LT or better, which is going to have the newer, you know, digital gauges and the big screen and everything like that, which is nice. But one thing that Ram's bringing to the table is just really cool stuff. Again, I like some digital and mostly analog. I like the depth of that. For me, my eyes as a truck driver, I need to see different content, and I need certain parts of that. And when I look, I want it to be brought out to me so I know exactly where to look. Those all digital displays, sometimes they blind out. Ram's got a new one for the up trim, like the Laramie. You can get the same one that's in the Jeep L. Not a huge fan of that. I had a Jeep L, but it is what it is. Cruise over here, we got all our auto lights and stuff. We have our memory seat buttons here, which is nice. My older ones used to have it on the side. Again, these switches are all the same as they've always been, and we do have plenty of ambient lighting when it comes into this. All soft stuff right here is nice. We do have an actual cigarette lighter here, and then plenty of storage that'll fit a big phone here in our box, like a Samsung, and a smaller phone right here, like an iPhone. We got our little lights here. Now up here, if you do get a sunroof, you'll have extra buttons for that, but we do have a power rear slider and then LED lights here, which are super easy. And then we have our remote tailgate release, which I have that. We have right here electronic transfer case buttons, just like everybody else is going to. Ford's is a knob, Chevy's is buttons or knobs. It's really irrelevant to me. Then you get the diesel, you get this big guy right here instead of having the knob, which is good. All right, I will do a whole video here, guys, to make sure we cover everything. So right here we have just a little storage tray, plenty of charging outlets and everything like that. A big enough area to set your OtterBox 21 in there. You can get a Ram charger right here, which is a wireless charger. And then we have 2 great cup holders. So instead of having the spring retention ones like a lot of everybody's using, they have these little rubber bulbs on there. That's always kind of been a Ram thing. I actually kind of like that, because when you have a metal canteen or a water bottle like my wife has, it tends to sit there and just shudder and rattle in those, and because those are plastic, it makes noise. This is all really nice feeling, soft textured plastic. I like it here. We're good there. So open this up. We have good storage in here. It is velvet lined, and then we also have a power point there, so that is really nice. And that, because that's illuminated at night, this is kind of lit up in here. We open this up, guys. You do have, I'm not sure why they ever put this on here, but you have some stuff just in case you can somehow contort yourself to use this compass. Fantastic, right? We look down in here and we have storage. It is lit. There is a light in here, and then there is a little partition here that you can flip up or down to keep stuff from sliding. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of crazy. Well, this goes all the way from back to here, all the way. There's even storage down way down in here. So you might be thinking, well, that's stupid. Who really cares? Well, I'll show you here in a second, because I like how Ford gives me the flipper so I can have 4 things, but I'm going to show you what I like even better than having the 4 flipper here in a second on the cup holders. So you have tons of storage there, guys. This thing for coins, I don't even know who uses really any coins anymore, but you can take this, flip this around, and turn those towards the back if you don't want. Now, what I found in the past is guys, I use this huge 64-ounce steel thing to drink. I drink 2 or 3 of these a day of water. And so every trip we go, this thing is the size of a monster. It's not going anywhere but it's either in the back seat rolling around, or it's by my feet so I can use it and drink out of it. But then it's just kind of always in the way. So if I, hit the brakes a little bit, it just tips over. It's just the way it works. Well, check this out. Now you're thinking, well, whatever. There's only you could put something here and stand it up. Like if you had, a water bottle here, you can stand it up. Great. But check this out. We can slide this all the way back to here, and actually you can slide it back all the way. You want to get it out of the way, you can get it out of the way. But my wife's with me, she uses a smaller canteen. Well, guess what? This hole right here is big enough for 2 of these big suckers. I mean, I could put 2 64-ounce steel drums. I don't bring my other one with me because I don't ever have a place to put it. I can only keep so many. Well, now I do. I can put 2 of these right here, and it's not in the way of any of my switches. Fantastic. So can it compete? Yes, because Chevy doesn't have that, and Ford doesn't have that, period, for 23, and the 24 Ford won't be any different. So yes, this is awesome, guys. I love that. It just mesmerizes me. Down here we have another plug-in 110 outlet, so if you want to run somebody's juice, you can, and we're good there, guys. This storage, like on the Chevy, actually flips up on the Custom, but the other one rolls in. Still not as big as this. This is actually illuminated at night, but not obnoxious. So my wife can set her phone in there. You can set 2 rolls of toilet paper in there and a phone and not have any issues. There's not a charge point in there, but who really cares about that? And then we got a big glove box. For whatever reason, Ram does not illuminate that. All right. Now we got the truck fired up, guys. And here's where Chevy doesn't have it and Ford doesn't have it. And it's freaking awesome. So down in here, all of this is digital gauges. Now you might be thinking, Jeremy, those are dummy gauges. I don't care. Well, Chevy doesn't give you a boost gauge. You have a boost gauge right here. You can configure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 areas of this display however you want. Once we flop over here, if you get the 12-inch, and I would definitely recommend it. I'm sorry, my hands are sweaty when I leave the gym, so this is all done. But I want to take you to a special area in here, because I'm going to go break this all down later on. But your home screen's here with your navigation. You have your XM, whatever, stuff like this. This is so intuitive and so crisp and clean. It's sexy. It's a sexy screen. And I know people will say, well, at the end of the day, this could cause issues. Yes, it absolutely can, just like anything else in any new truck. Our second screen, which we can tailor and move everything around however we want. I got my favorites there. You can tailor the screen however you want. Then we have over here where you can manipulate your HVAC, which I don't really even need that screen there, but I like it there because I have all my redundant keys here. And I like that because a lot of them are kind of going away from some of that. And I like having it just accessible right there. Now we flip over here to this last screen, and this is where I'm telling you guys is this is so configurable that this is just icing on the cake. So we have a trailer brake screen right here and a trans temp. Once we actually started going, these would read, but if I push on the brakes usually, or grab the trailer brake controller, it'll start showing data there. Again, the truck's not moving, so it's really not recognizing anything there. We have another redundant page here, and you can keep adding pages if you want, but this is where I basically stopped. We got weather apps in here, which again, I will break this down in another video. It takes a second because I haven't started the truck since this morning, but if we just... All right, so I wanted to take it out of night mode so we can see these keys a little bit better. So here's what's awesome, guys. You can go in and bring up these different widgets and style the buttons however you want. You can play with this all day. But if you go into, say, cargo camera, you can bring up your cargo camera and stuff like that and your extra cameras for your trailer. But if I hit trailer tow, it gives me real-time data. So you can pull this up just like a semi, guys, and you could have all your real-time data. The truck's cold, we're not moving, we're not doing anything like that. So at the end of the day, we're not going to see any data here quite yet, but these will get rolling here in a second, and you can even toggle over to see your battery voltage. So you can have, because people say, well, I don't just want a dummy gauge. This will give you an actual numerical point to look at. So fantastic there. I mean, you can cruise in here, you can do all of that stuff. You can set up all your cameras to however you want them. When we go back to, so when we're in here, you can even do a light check for your trailer thing. So once you got it plugged in, you can activate it, and this thing's gonna go through your whole light check. I don't have a trailer hooked up, so obviously that part's not gonna work, but that is fantastic. If you want it to be a little bit sexier, guys, check this out. If you come back out here, off-road pages. I'm not gonna take this truck off-road, but you can look at all of this cool stuff. If you do pitch and whatever, you can see your latitude. I love it. But check this out, you can have color versions of those gauges. So if they're just a little bit sexier on your eyes at night, you have your trans temp, your oil pressure, your coolant temp, everything, guys. This thing is dead sexy. And I know if you get the smaller screen, you're not going to get as much Shazam as that. However, you can get this smaller screen in a lower package, in a Bighorn package. Now this is where this is at, guys. This is something that Chevy, you get an all digital gauge in the up trim, period. That's all there is to it. But if you come in here, you can configure this side gauge, that side gauge, and those 4 gauge, not what everybody else is doing. So you can go in here and you can, this left bar that we're toggling through, you can see all of your stuff. So I want to just notate real quick that I'm also getting really good fuel economy. So it's been idling a lot because I've been shooting stuff. But if we cruise into here, you know, my current is 18.8 in town. I haven't had much highway driving this week. Then we have our drivetrain, which again is that pitch and roll. You can have this here. You don't have to have it on the big screen. You go here, you got a diesel particulate gauge, which you can monitor that yourself. But if we toggle through here, we have a boost pressure, which again is at the top here in the top corner. So you don't have to have this up all the time. You have an oil pressure gauge, which you can put that on any corner here. You have your trans temp, which we can have in the auxiliary screen, coolant temp. You have your pressures here, engine hours, idle time, and then you have a numerical data thing here too. So if you just want it in the middle, you can change all of these other ones out to something else. So I mean, the amount of data that this truck gives you, I like leaving it on the DPF regen. So I know where, but you can have a digital speedometer. We go over here to settings. Now, if the truck gives you a message, you have a message. We cruise in here, you can watch your thing. You can program and actually train the truck to know the actual trailer thing. But if we get in here, and I'm gonna do a more extensive video, you can go to upper left, which is this one. It highlights it in red, hit that. Now you can change it to any of these. Time, temp. And guys, you can do this with all of this screen. You don't get that with the Chevy. They give you a couple different looks, but at the end of the day, this is light years above what what Ford's offering and what GM's offering. It's insane. It's just insane all the data you can have up here. Because as a trucker, I want it, and I want it right in front of me. So you can do your trailer brake gain right there. You see the little needle going back and forth. I mean, I like this one because you have the boost pressure on one side, then you can put the braking exhaust power on the other side. So when you're using exhaust brake, if you wanted to monitor that instead of having the compass up, you could, because you have your compass over here in a lot of these areas when you pop up stuff. In addition to that, you have it on your home screen. When you go home, you have it on your navigation because it always points whichever way that is. So really, in theory, guys, and then this will all basically stay right where you want it. So you can have your fuel filter gauge up there if you like running these gauges over there. But what's also awesome, guys, is if we go out of here and then we go upper center, that little screen's lit up, you can change that to all of this other stuff. I mean, it's fantastic. Now, if we go down here to lower right, defaults, left side, now you can change those icons out. So we go to the right side, we hit that. Range empty, range econ, trans temp, coolant temp, oil life. Are you kidding me? I mean, however you want this to be, it's beautiful at night, it's not hard on the eyes, and it really is good. All right, guys, as promised, this video is long, and the reason being is we are breaking down everything about the 24 Ram. Again, you have to think long and hard about what you want out of a truck, and when you sit back and think, wow, the Ram really hasn't changed much, but does it still bring it to the table? I mean, does it still compare? Absolutely. Right there, the gauges right there are better than anybody right now currently on the market. They're beautiful, they're sexy. The camera system on this is beautiful, okay guys? And one thing I will show you on this test drive, if you didn't watch the Car Enthusiast drive, this is fantastic. So you might be thinking, I don't want that big view. Well, you could change it to however you want. And if you want to have the bigger one, I'm okay that this is right here like this because you have all the extra cameras you might be adding to the package. And this is still probably about 8.5 inches across, which is fine because on a lot of the other ones, you might get a whole screen like on the Ford, but it's so damn grainy that it's the resolution of the screen. I don't think it's the cameras. I think it's the resolution of the screen. So, you know, having that like that, I like that. You can take out those lines. I like it right there because once we start going forward or backwards, you'll have dynamic lines on the front and everything. So that's actually the truck picking up the front end right there. I'm close to the wall. And then you can see these mirrors, guys. Again, they're fantastic. They move out tons. They have tons of function, but having that lower convex where somebody doesn't have to reach out the door gives you the ability to change that on the fly, because if you're by yourself, you're gonna have to stop and adjust it and then check it and then stop and adjust it, check it. You just do it on the fly, and then having it both heated is fantastic. All right, so we cruise over here. We have so the trash truck going by, me not talking, the truck idling is at 55 decibels, guys. So an exemplary quiet interior. But I'm going to show you something wicked on this, and this is going to be good. So the blind spot with tag alert is an option where you can go in and program the length of your trailer, so that way in the Chevys you don't have to go keep shutting off your blind spot monitoring as it'll sit there and flash, which you can do. You can absolutely turn it off, and then you have to remember to turn it back on. The Ford automatically disconnects it when you plug it in. You'll see it down there where it says blind spot monitoring disabled because of the trailer. But this, you can actually tag alert it so it'll still function with blind spot with the length of your trailer. But one thing's really cool, and this will help shorter people or people that aren't used to driving a bigger truck all the time, is a blind spot. So let's go take it for a drive and talk about it. All right, guys, so as we get rolling, again, I've talked about this a lot, is when you're a truck driver, you want to have everything there. And whether you're a full-time trucker or you're somebody that drives, you want everything at your fingertips. So everything's right here for me to run, but everything's easily acceptable. You know, if I want it right here, I don't have to really look down to grab it. Because obviously if I'm towing, I'm going to turn on the exhaust brake automatically and turn on the tow haul. The park assist stuff I'm really never going to turn off. But having this right there, instead of having to look down here in the panel and find it, or somewhere way over here like on the Ford, Chevy does put the heated steering wheel button there, which is good, and then each side of that is down here, which is good. So, which is good just to have that handy. So, driving, and I'll zip it and show you the decibel reader here in just a second. So 60 decibels, guys. I mean, this has got to be one of the quietest interiors I've been in a long time. And after driving that Bighorn for about 6,000 miles this last year, it was a 23 at work. Excellent interior. Now that had cloth seats, and I'll tell you this much: the cloth seats in the Ram are a little bit softer than the leather ones with ventilation. I think any vehicle, once you step into the ventilated seat arena, the seats are going to get firmer, and that's just the way it is. But these seats are more comfortable than the Chevy. They are just a little edged off of the firmness. Chevy has got firm seats, guys, but the truck rides exceptional. So when it comes to that, if Chevy rode as rough as, say, the Ford or the Ram did, then you'd be thinking, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But the way they do it with the suspension, it does ride exceptionally well, and that's why they can get away with firmer seats. Now, where you're going to find an advantage in that is the firmer seats aren't going to show wear as quick, because they are going to hold up longer. The density of the foam is harder, so they're going to hold up longer. Now, I don't know if you could have heard that growl, but that is the venerable 6.7 Cummins diesel. Guys, this isn't as fast as a gas truck. The Hemi gets off the line. Now, if you can build the boost a little bit and then go, yeah, the diesels are going to be faster. Is this fast? Yeah, compared to what a lot of things are. And it's awesome when it comes to how it drives. I mean, for a 1-ton truck, this will ride more different than a 3/4 ton. A 3/4 ton has that 5-link rear coil. which is a softer suspension. And I think that's where Ram loses in the 3/4 ton range with their payload and trailering ability versus the other gassers. But you step into a 1-ton gasser, it's going to change the game, but it's going to change the ride. So instead of having coils in the back, you're going to have the Hodgkin leaf springs and stuff. So there is a firmer ride, but this is not a bad ride. This ride's better than the F250 that I drove the other day that we were going to buy. It had the Godzilla. This thing, the suspension, which you can get adaptive steering in the more upscale one, and that's going to have to do with the adaptive cruise, I think, and stuff like that. Very even steering across the board, whether you're highway speeds or city speeds, guys. You know, like I said, where Ram fails is they haven't given us a true crew cab yet. They haven't changed these belt trims on the door right there that eventually wear out after like 2 or 3 years, and they're ugly. So hopefully they get ugly before you run out of your bumper to bumper, so they'll fix them, because they're not cheap. You can put some chrome covers on them, but really where Ram has done it is like kind of like Subaru and a lot of other manufacturers that just don't seem to change. They basically have said, okay, everybody's bringing all this cool swag, this full digital display, so they brought one for everybody if that's your thing. But this is better. This is a better display than that full digital one. That doesn't sell me on any of the trucks, and I didn't need that. That was never something that I complained to the manufacturer saying, hey, let's fix this. I was more like, hey, let's fix the regens. Let's fix the, you know, the issues with, you know, maybe like this. Now, is the 6-speed 68 RFE just as good as a 10-speed? Guys, you can't tell the difference. I mean, really? And Allison, that's a fantastic transmission. It's the best as far as I can tell. But this 68 RFE is butter smooth. This is a smooth linkage in between here. And guys, like I bitched and moaned before, they've had this right here. You push down on the thing and it tells you what gear you're in. You have to reset that every time, but the Chevy doesn't even offer it. So you don't know. If you go down to low and you toggle gears, you're limiting the gears, but you have no idea which ones it's shifting through. Even if you limit it to 3, you'd have to assume it's not in first, but you don't know. But yeah, I mean, at the rate that this thing is getting fuel economy on the highway, I have returned like 19 on a little bit of highway, 21 in that Bighorn. The 36-gallon tank is plenty big, guys. And I'll show you this last other great thing here, and then we'll do the wrap up of what I think of this. But the best exhaust brake in the market, Cummins. I'm sorry, Dodge has it. Cummins owns Jacobs brake systems, always has. Well, not always, but for like a long time, like 80 years. So if anybody's going to perfect this is a very similar setup to what's on a semi. Is it as robust as a semi? No. But for a light duty pickup, that's what these trucks are. They're light duty. These are not medium duty. They're not heavy duty. They say it on the hood, but they're not. They're actually in a class of light duty trucks, and that's just the way they are. Medium duty is going to be like the 5500 and up, and then we know the heavy duties are the big guys. But you know, at the end of the day, we reach over here, we hit the exhaust brake, and this thing literally will slow me down with nothing behind it, no brake actuations, nothing like that. For the Chevy and the Ford exhaust brakes to really work, you have to tap the brakes. But the best thing is, look at that, guys. You turn on your left blinker, and I can see my entire blind spot. I mean, that is just... All right, guys, like I said, that is just a fantastic camera view to have. Under hard acceleration, this thing rips and will roach the tires if you're not careful. 72 decibels. So if you guys watch my other videos, this is right on par with a gasser. So some people say gassers are louder, diesels are louder, whatever. Under stock form, I don't think that there's a huge disparity different. But once this thing drops out of getting into it, I mean, you can't hardly hear the turbo. But the Cummins diesel has quieted down so much, guys. And, you know, I gotta tell you, for 2024, Ram really didn't change anything, and I think that they probably have the nicest interior. When you step down into the lower trims, yeah, you're gonna get more hard plastics and stuff, but for a leathered out Lariat, a leathered out Chevy LTZ, the comfort and the functionality, I think that this is probably the better interior. And it's not saying the others are bad, but this is better. And I can tell you, I haven't had a Duramax and or a Power Stroke get me 19 in town, 18 and a half in town, ever. ever since they started packing the emissions crap on. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is a fantastic thing. And again, guys, like I've talked about before, you don't need a diesel. If you can buy a diesel or a gas, they're at the exact same price or for a few hundred, that's almost unheard of. So you have to make that corporate decision, because you will need to monitor the regen process and everything like that. Now, when you're an HD truck, this truck is rated at 21,000, almost 22 something. I don't remember. It's like 21 and a half, almost 22 is what it'll tow, fifth wheel configuration. About 2019-ish on the conventional towing. More than what I will ever need. But when people talk about the diesel and they say, well, I'm not going to get a gas, I won't get a gas because one, it doesn't have enough power, but two, it doesn't have an exhaust brake. Okay, I get that. So we step over here to the diesels, and the Cummins has the best one. You will push the throttle coming down a hill without even have to mess with this little doodad here to limit the gears. The truck will do it, guys. Whether you have the ASIN or the 68 RFE, this thing, I'll sometimes even just turn it on auto and use it in town, not towing anything. But I'm telling you, if you set that back pressure gauge and watch how much braking horsepower this thing does, there is not a better diesel exhaust brake on the market. Engine brake, exhaust brake, whatever you want to call it, there's not a better one. Now, I do hope that you guys have watched this whole video, or you've skipped around to see the great stuff we talked about, because we're going to break down all of this stuff later. I'll do videos on the configuration, on how to do the setup and everything like that. But I mean, this truck, guys, the thing that's crazy about it is they thought of everything. Like, this console is right where my arm would need to be to grab the steering wheel. This is right where I need to be, and it won't hurt it if you need to rest your hand on there and still reach all the radio stations. I found it in the Ford that this is sometimes too low for my elbow. I found that this is too thin. Like on the older Power Strokes, this is angled, and my arm can't sit up there. Well, I actually like to sit up there. The ram is flat all the way across, so you could put your whole arm up there if you wanted to. My last Chevy, the door kind of concaved right here, and it was too thin for me to put my arm on, so I kind of just put the notch of my elbow on. I still made it happen. But really, they thought over the last 5-6 years of really trying to get this right where everybody wants it. And I would implore more manufacturers to not go full digital here. Nobody wants that. I don't want that in my semi. I don't want anything like that. And the reason being is because you need depth. You need, our eyes are always watching screens, and you can just kind of get mesmerized or I guess, I don't even know, tunnel vision on the gauges and not really pay attention to it. This has so much depth and so much information that, to me, this is hands down the best interior on the market. And when you cruise over here and you can have, you know, your gauges right here, and everything, live data, to me, it's insane that we can get all of that information and have it here and everything. So, you know, at the end of the day, guys, I appreciate you guys being here and watching this. So my wrap up to this video as we cruise on down home is, this is a great place to be. And really, the manufacturers have came out, I think, with their best shot as of to date. But what's funny is the person that's winning today when it comes to interiors and the way the tech works, it's an interior that isn't even new at all. There's very little new about the 24 Ram, but in the 23 Ram, if you get the same configuration, there's deals to be had, guys. Ford's marking them all up. Chevy's kind of keeping them MSRP. Some of the places you can get a little off on the Chevys or GMCs, but 18 grand off a Cummins diesel. This was actually a money maker for me if the world goes crazy again with the strikes and shutdowns and whatnot. Trucks will be in high demand, so you really got to think that is a possibility. And overall, guys, fit and finish, this truck is fantastic. You know, when you go from one to the next, sometimes you can kind of get blind, you know, to one brand or the other. And a lot of people say, well, you're a Ford fanboy. No, I'm not. Oh, you're a Chevy fanboy. No, I'm not. I really enjoyed my Chevy, my LAT. I love that truck. It was really hard for me to get rid of it. And I actually like my Ford. I actually was going to buy another Godzilla, but I've actually been told to stay away from my Ford sources, to stay away from anything made in the last 5 to 6 months by Ford, and anything coming out probably in the next year to year and a half, so 2024 and a half, 25, which we did order a 24 Ford. I'm not out anything. I'm not on the hook for a deposit, so it's okay if, you know, that we don't pick up that one if we want to do more testing with this. But this wasn't a testament akin this to more than the Hemi. Obviously, it's rated at more, but this gives us an opportunity to see fit and finish, talk about all the tech, talk about everything, talk about how everything does. So whether or not you get the Hemi or not, fine. If that fits into your weight realm that you need, great. The truck is still the same, no matter what you get in a Chevy or a Ford or whoever. It's all the same. Nothing really changes, you know, from one thing to another. So at the end of the day, we are going to dive deeper into that, and then we'll share the content we get about the diesel. But I already know how the diesel is going to do. It's going to do excellent. The exhaust brake is going to do excellent. But I will be notating how many regens and everything it needs like that. So whether you watch this whole video in its entirety at one time, guys, it was long, but if you guys want real life content, I have to break it down. This isn't a shiny shoot in the pants, walk around the truck and be like, that's neat. Let's talk about what really is different about this truck, how it really works. That's what we're trying to do here. And with Kong, it was a pretty simple truck, so we weren't able to go really further into it because it didn't have a lot of options. But you know, at the end of the day, there are tons of great videos already posted on the Ram, guys. We're going to be posting this one today, and there will be tons more. So if you had any questions about anything, comment. And if not, make sure you subscribe, because there's probably some answers that are already out there on the channel, whether it becomes from gas or diesel. So down there in the corner, guys, is a subscribe button, and the little like is also below. So please, please help a small channel out. After the big guys got my content kicked off for running the Ike, before they did, they got all ticked. Now they're jamming the Chevy LAT down everybody's throat. Covered it before, but I just can't get the coverage because they got them kicked off, and it is what it is. But you know, those that have been around, you know who those guys are. And if you go check out some of their new content, you'll see that they are doing basically what I did. So we're just going to keep moving, but I do appreciate everybody being here and subscribing. All right, guys, we will catch you on the next one.